Bread prices have not dropped, despite the government's approval of a duty-free importation waiver on wheat, maize, and other commodities. We've seen that the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria went on a protest on the 16th of December 2021, and the Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria in Lagos State held the protest last Wednesday, calling the federal government's attention to the continuous increase in flour prices.
Now, the association's chairman, Chief Ayoola Mathew, lamented that Nigerian millers have failed to implement the waiver, leading to a surge in flour prices, making it difficult for bakeries to operate smoothly. The association is calling for urgent government intervention to enforce the waiver, reduce food prices, and investigate the activities of Nigerian millers and sugar producers. So joining us this morning is President of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, PBAN, Mr. Emmanuel Onora. Mr. Emmanuel, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Yes. Good
so
morning.
I just want to quickly highlight and clarify that PBAN and the Association of AMBC and Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria in Lagos State, they're not the same.
No.
Great.
We're not the same, but materially all of us produce bread.
Brilliant. So that means the challenges are applicable to all the organizations.
Of course, it's across board. Challenges are across board.
So talk to us about the challenges that the bakers are currently facing. There's been a waiver of prices, importation of wheat and maize, and we had hoped that that would be reflective in the prices of baking. Why is that not happening? Well,
one wouldn't say the policy document just came out last week, so you do not expect that overnight these things will just ease out. No. We've cried severally when we were hearing the rumor that there was an executive order that was going to be signed by the president for VAT and import duty suspension on certain goods, essential goods into Nigeria, especially wheat, rice, and all of it, sorghum and all of that. We cried out. We on various mediums to cry out that the devil is in the details. Okay, so that the federal government should come out with a policy document, because without a policy framework, there's nothing the millers can do. All right, if you are going to do it, how are they going to plan their futures? How are they going to raise their LCs if you have not even given them the policy document on which to work? So thankfully, I think, was it last week? Yeah, last week I was on a sister's station last week to cry out, and the next day or so, the policy document came out, and I hope that the millers are going to cash in using that policy document to ensure that the prices of flour eases down or remains as it is. But mark you, it is not only flour. All the items that we use in producing all our ingredients are all spiking in prices. Sugar has increased to about 82,000, depending on where you are sourcing it from about 74,000 naira. Ascorbic acid as preservative has increased from about 43,000 to about 80,000 naira. Softener has increased from 800,000 per 20 kg bag to about 1.6 million, depending on the type you are buying. Some even as much as 2.8 million for a bag. Yeah, yeast that we used to buy in January this year for about 20-something thousand naira a carton is today about 62,000 naira. All right. Eggs, of course, you know, is going for about 4,008 to 4,005 per crate. Milk, that was 70-something thousand at the beginning of this year, 80-something thousand, is going for about 110,000. These are materials that we use in producing our bread. Salt just increased last week. Here, salt that was 11,500 is now 16,000 naira. So you can see that the increase spikes across all our ingredients. And mark you, we have distribution vans. Some of them use diesel and some of them use fuel. Those of them that are using fuel, you know the crisis in fuel in Nigeria. I just came back from Warri yesterday with my family. I bought fuel in Warri for 950 naira per litre. I came into Lagos, coming here now, there is no fuel anywhere. I drove all the way from Surulere to your studio here now. There is no fuel anywhere. So how do we even distribute our own products? Look at the whole thing. Bread, you know, you do your costing. Your costing determines what you do in bread making. So if you don't get the costing right, what does it mean? It means you are going to dovetail into a loss. Your cost must match your revenue. But in our instance, the revenue is disproportionately to the cost. So what do you mean? What does it mean? It tells you that the price of bread will keep spiking. because the other ingredients that enables you to produce bread are all going up.
Two questions. So what are the implications now? If the price of bread, if these prices continue to go up, we're looking at bread costing like what? How much now? Currently, I think a big family-sized loaf of bread should be about 1,400 naira. If I'm not mistaken.
It depends on where you're buying. I don't buy for 1,000.
And it depends on the quality of what you are buying.
Yes,
okay. Some go as much as 2,000 naira.
2,000 naira.
Yeah.
So if it's 2,000 naira at the moment, what could it be if these prices continue to rise?
For us in PBAN, we have the way we categorize our bread. We have our different weight bands. We have the smaller ones that go for as much as 500 naira. Okay, then we have the sliced bread. In PBAN, some of us do as much as 1,000, depending on your recipe, of course, because we have a different recipe makeup. Okay, some of us do 1,000 for maybe 800 pack size bread. That is the one that is common amongst us. But the high-end ones are doing about 1,800. Some are even doing 2,000. But the jumbo size, that's the very big one. Those are the big one that we call the jumbo sizes. That goes about, that's about 3.0 to 4 kg of net weight. That one goes for about 2,000, between 2,100 to 2,400, okay, depending on your recipe too. And I'm telling you that these things are going to go up. Now, in the last 2 weeks, or the last 1 month, the price of flour increased threefold, added about 7,000 naira. The last one that happened was about 2 weeks ago, and we had to absorb the cost as bakers because you can't keep spiking the price of bread. Come on. And are we not Nigerians?
So, sir, now you talked about the other ingredients that are also spiking in price as well. Is your body also advocating perhaps maybe for internal policies that could help chase or advocate that these prices come down? You talk about egg, you talk about salt, you talk about all of that. But currently, what the focus seems to be on is on import duties that is removed from certain materials and also VAT. What about policies for these other ingredients that are sourced locally here in Nigeria?
That's why we always advocate for backward integration. It has worked in cement. Why would it not work in flour? Okay, you know the sugar refiners, they don't even, when they say backward integration in sugar, they bring in their sugar, raw sugar from Brazil. They still import majorly from Brazil, bring it here, vitamize it, maybe add a vitamin A to it and an E or whatever. That's what they do here. So what we are doing, we are advocating for in-country domiciliation of this production here, because once you produce them here, it becomes cheaper for us. All right? Come on, how can you tell me that in Nigeria we are still importing yeast? What are our big men doing with the money they have? Why are people not setting up here? Is it that the climate is so bad that you can't even break even if you set up here? Everything is about import. Any country that is import dependent, these are the kind of problems.
Do we have those facilities or industries to produce them in any case? Or do we have to start from scratch? And how long will that take?
No, you may not have to start from scratch, but you have to look at the enabling environment too. Energy, cost of doing business, ease of doing business, the bureaucracy, the red tapeism in it. How? We had a company that wanted to come in from France. They were already coming into Lagos to do something here, but because of the policies here, they had to bolt out because everywhere they were going, there were roadblocks. So there's nothing like ease of doing business. So they have to dismantle those roadblocks to ensure that these things are done in country, so that we can begin to get the value for bread production. If not as it is today, I am telling you, we just absorbed a 2,500 naira per bag cost per bag of flour. We just absorbed it not quite long ago, I think about 2 weeks now. For how long can we keep absorbing? For the much you keep absorbing, your business is suffering. The minimum wage there, we are expected to pay the minimum wage. We are expected to run overhead. We are expected to buy these expensive ingredients.
And not to mention the fuel to transport your products to the consumers. Let's also talk about the quality. Should Nigerians be worried about the quality of bread that will be produced, seeing as things are ridiculously expensive right now? There have been allegations of people bakers using saccharine in place of sugar, because right now the cost, like you alluded to, the cost of sugar is really very expensive. So should Nigerians be worried about the quality of bread that is being produced or that will be produced as a result?
It's not only bread. Every other thing in Nigeria, people should be worried. But all I know is that I can vouch for my association because we have in-class peer review mechanisms. It's part of our objectives as PBAN to produce with wholesome materials. We go from bakery to bakery to look at what our members are doing. And if we catch any of our members doing that, we are the ones that will report the person to the regulatory authorities. We found at it, we have zero tolerance to use of unwholesome materials. The prevalence of renal problems and cancer and all of it in Nigeria today is because of what people ingest. and we frown at it in PBAN. So what we use in PBAN, I can talk for PBAN, we don't use saccharine because NAFDAC does not allow us to do that. Yes, you could add some sweeteners in line with the codex that NAFDAC has given. For instance, you have the acesulfuric K. Okay, you can do, I think, for 1,000, I think it's 1,000 gram per one bag of flour to your bulk dough or to your dry mix. Okay, what does that tell you? That means we work with what NAFDAC has approved. We don't do saccharine, we frown at it because it is not what the country approves. We don't do bromate too because the country does not, the codex does not approve of it in Nigeria. Yes, they do use it in America and other countries, but Nigeria does not use it like the UK. So we frown at it. We ensure that in PBAN, we produce wholesome bread that is good and fit for consumption by Nigerians, and we don't want to endanger people's health. We can vouch for our members. It's part of our do's, it's part of our don'ts, it's part of our DNA.
Okay. I'd like to ask what PBAN is calling for, because if we see what the AMBCN is calling for, they're asking that the government probe into the activities of flour millers and sugar producers. They're asking for the enforcement of the import duty waiver from importation to consumer level. They're asking for a reduction in flour prices to between 30,000 and 40,000 naira per bag. And they're also asking for increased distribution and accessibility of baking commodities. Is this sort of similar to what PBAN is asking for, or is there a different ask?
Well, I mean, just digress further on, I think, the point number 3 there. It is not the miller's place to set up the macro and microeconomic indices in the country. It is in the government's place to regulate them, okay? What they do, they are businesses. They are set up to make profits. But in doing that, they shouldn't gouge your price. They shouldn't be a monopoly or a duopoly that will be at the detriment of Nigerians. So what the government should do is that the government, through the FCCPC, should be able to rein in on these people. You understand me? Because they are set up to be profitable too. They pass through the same challenges that we pass through. The challenges of getting energy, the challenges of importation, the challenges of clearing and all of it. You understand me? So I wouldn't want to call them out really, but the truth is they should look at their rate of increases in the prices of this commodity, because, I mean, it is killing us. It is killing us.
When you say they should look at it, do you mean the millet producers?
The millers, yes. Mm-hmm. They should not be hasty in doing this all the time. You understand me? As much as, yes, they are businesses, they have their shareholders to cater for and their dividends and all of that, but there should be human face to this whole thing. There should be human face to it.
All right, so if you were to address the government right now, what would you say to the government, on behalf of the Premium Bakers Association of Nigeria?
Well, the government should, first and foremost, a very laudable one. The government has put a moratorium for 150 days or so till December 31st for import duty and VAT waiver. The government should stick to it. 150 days is not enough. I hope that they are going to push it further to about 2 years. We asked for 2-3 years moratorium because post-COVID we've been suffering. The government should rein in on even the people that are bringing in this material into Nigeria, using the instrumentality of the FCCPC to ensure that the prices are such that we as bakers are able to get these things at a price that will ensure that Nigerians get bread at a very affordable cost. Because once bread is expensive, I am telling you, it has the potential to exacerbate the current insecurity in Nigeria. Every family in Nigeria eats bread. Bread is a staple. Bread is not meant to be expensive. Bread is supposed to be something that every Nigerian can grab and just have and go. If children are on holiday today, what is their snack? The best snack for children is what? Bread and spread. Once the bread and spread is on the table, mommy and daddy can go to work, rest assured that the children will eat. So bread should not be priced out of the reach of the average Nigerian, because if you do that, it's a recipe for exacerbation of the current insecurity, because a hungry man is an hungry man.
I just want to quickly, before we wrap up the conversation, talk about something you just said, extending it from 150 days to about 2 years.
Yeah,
the president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina had said that he's not particularly in support of this because he finds that this would affect local production.
Right.
And you have also talked about the fact that we need to also look at encouraging local production. So how do we then find that balance? If there's a 150 days extended to 2-3 years, does that not also affect local production? And do we have the capacity right now
It wouldn't
to be able to produce the demand that the bakers in Nigeria have?
That's why I advocated for backward integration. You have to do it gradual. Just like the way transition is like winning a child. Okay, winning a child, you understand? You win the industry too. Nigeria has about 15 to 20 states in the north that can grow wheat effectively, okay? Dry and rainy season wheat. It's an all year round thing for cultivation. So the government should look at that. And in doing that, not only wheat, okay, because if you do wheat and you are leaving the sugar and every other material, it will not bode well for our own industry and for food security in Nigeria. Yes, like Dr. Akumi said, of course, he will have to say it because he's not a businessman. We that wear the shoe knows where it pinches. As much as possible, we are not going to open our country for dumping, but in doing that, we should do it gradually, okay? Nigeria, of course, there's that 15% that the government has been collecting for wheat development levy. It's domiciled in the CBN. They should look at it through the Ministry of Agriculture or whatever, or the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. They should look at that fund and use it effectively for what it is meant to be, to grow wheat in country. Nigeria has the capacity to grow wheat. Nigeria wheat requirement today is about 5.1 million metric tons, but we are doing very abysmal in the growth of wheat. We do just about 300,000 metric tons. So there's a gap of about 4.7 to 5 million that we get from outside the country.
So for now, that means the waiver would need to be extended, and then, like you said, a gradual backward integration. That's the best
option. Nobody is saying that we should be dumping ground. Ultimately, the plan should be that we should be self-sufficient in the growth of wheat, and not only wheat, and every other material that we use in making bread and other materials that are used for production in Nigeria.
Emmanuel Honora, the President, Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria.
That's the word, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria.
Thank you very much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
I hope that the price of, all of this work together so that the price of bread can come down, because some of us, I don't know how I'm going to cope
you need bread. Your fix every morning.
I certainly need my bread.
She's an addict.
When the Holy Book said man shall not live by bread alone, I
you
don't
took
think
it
was talking to me.